there's one core mechanism, and then there's a few factors that feed into it. So the core mechanism is the milkshake straw we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
But how that pans out a little bit more in depth is all obstructive. This may sound like groundbreaking. Maybe I'll just get a Nobel Prize based off this, but obstructive sleep apnea starts with some sort of obstruction. Okay, let take some time to let that sit in. But the point being is like it could be, maybe you have a deviated septum, maybe you have an enlarged adenoid, that's like a tissue in the back of your oral passageway. Maybe you have a enlarged tongue, maybe you have a receding jaw. There's like 20 plus different anatomical things
Mm.
that can lead to sleep apnea. But the thing is, it's not so much those 20 different anatomical things, it's the common issue they cause. Like all roads lead to Rome, all obstructions lead to that collapsing of the airway. Now, the reason they do that, okay, because it's not just anatomy by itself, okay? So, like in studies where this would have been an awful study to do, dentists and ENTs just like look in their mouths, how's your anatomy? Okay. Is this considered something that would cause an obstruction? And then like what they found is that about like 40 to 60% of adults have some sort of obstruction. Okay. But yet that doesn't always correlate. And actually, the minority of people only have sleep apnea. Okay. So if the correlation was stronger, all of those people, obstruction always should have been sleep apnea. So, like, what's the missing
Mm.
ingredient?
Mhm.
Well, back to a straw analogy, anytime you have a smaller airway, right? Well, your body still needs the same amount of air. So how would you get more air? You have to breathe through that straw faster. Okay. So obstruction, narrow airway, you have to breathe faster. It's the faster breathing, and especially the inhale, that will lead to this collapse in your airway. So like all sleep apnea leads to that core mechanism.
Mm.
Now, getting out of there, is it as simple as surgery? For some people, it is, and that's great. But there's a reason, and this is just across the board, and this is a study out of Stanford, is that when you look at all the surgical interventions that happen, like whether it's kind of clearing out the palate or other sort of areas, what happens is that the surgical cure rate, which is a reduction in symptoms of 50%, is about 30 to 50%. Okay. Another way to say that, just as simple as possible, is surgery is basically a coin flip if you're going to have about a 50% reduction in symptoms.
Mm.
Not great odds, because if it was just anatomy, call me crazy, but I would expect a much higher percentage.
Mm.
if the problem is that thing, we take that thing out, and the problem's still there. Doesn't add up. Because guess what? Even if you take out the anatomical thing, okay, we remove the trigger for fast breathing, but guess what? Your breathing pattern creates this like mind body connection, okay, or muscle. I think muscle memory is a better term. Okay, so like
Mhm.
let's say like a basketball player, they have a certain muscle memory of shooting, right? So they're pretty much always doing the same motion, and it becomes on autopilot. Our breathing is the exact same. Okay, it is the exact same, has this muscle memory. So if you have something
Mm.
that triggers faster breathing, and you take away the trigger, you're still going to have faster breathing.
Mm.
So then that will still lead. So that's why even like some people with sleep apnea, weight does contribute to it. Okay. But some people lose weight and they're like, I still have sleep apnea.
Mm.
Or some people, a lot of the clients who come to us, they do not look like the classic sleep apnea at all. They're like normal weight, and they don't have like a big neck. They don't have like, there's like, what's going on? So for the question of like, okay, what are the root causes of that? Then the question becomes like, okay, the common mechanism is the faster inhale, and then the next question is, what are all the things, or I guess rather, what are the most important things that influence this faster inhale?
Mm.
Okay. And I've boiled it down to 5 major things, and this is the crowning achievement of my life, this acronym. It's SLEEP is the acronym, okay? I know, it's great. It is fantastic. Took a while, but we figured it out. So S stands for slowing down your breathing. L is lowering stress. The first E is establish a rhythm. Second E is enhance your environment, and then the P is prioritize nutrition. Okay. So those are the major factors, and really like the most important one out of all of them. Okay. And I'm not saying this by itself will fix everything, but the more you're able to retrain your breathing with certain exercises and routines, that will provide the biggest contribution, like by far, to how you're able to sleep at night.